Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Becker.
Here.
Mrs. Chu.
Here.
Dr. Cohen.
Here.
Mrs. Howard.
Here.
Mrs. Lex.
Here.
Mr. Philipchak.
Present.
Mrs. Shaw.
Here.
Mr. Simmons.
Here, we have a quorum. Please rise to salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at 760 Route 18, East Brunswick, New Jersey. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the New York Star Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick on July 7, 2015, and January 22, 2016. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast. It is the policy of the Board of Education that videotape meetings are not edited for any purpose. Individuals who speak at the Board's public meetings should be aware of these videotaping rules. And good evening, everyone. We'll begin with the Superintendent's report. Dr. Valesky.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Good evening, everyone. The artwork in the boardroom this evening reflects the work of students at Irwin School. Their teachers are Kristen Chapkowski and Jillian Sikowski. Joanne Chmilowicz is their principal. On Friday, February 5th, East Brunswick Public Schools celebrated National Go Red Day. This event is sponsored by the American Heart Association in an effort to raise awareness for women's heart health. A district-wide Denim Day raised $3,630 to go towards awareness, research, and community programs. Thank you to all who participated. I'm happy to report that during Denim Day on Friday, February 12th, our staff raised $2,344 for the East Brunswick Education Foundation. Last Wednesday, the Joanne Magistro Performing Arts Center welcomed 600 singers from grades 4 to 12 at the annual District Choral Festival. The auditorium was standing room only as students wowed the audience with their beautiful selections. Last week, Hammersholt Middle School had 13 students audition for the Central Jersey Intermediate Region Band and Orchestra. Additionally, 10 Churchill Junior High School students placed in these groups. Their directors are Susan Muse, Mary O'Mara, Mark Perez, and Dr. Anna Braun. Churchill Junior High School had one student placed in the New Jersey All-State Symphonic Band. 6 students from East Brunswick High School placed in the All-State Symphonic Band and Wind Ensemble. Their directors are Michelle Linder and Brian Toth. Congratulations to everyone. In sports, the boys bowling GMC and Central Jersey Group 4 champions will compete Friday for the overall state title. The girls bowling team finished second in the GMC. In track, Brandon Phillips is the GMC champion in the 400-meter event. Approximately 10 athletes qualified at sectionals and will compete this Friday. The EBHS cheerleaders recently won a national tournament in Atlantic City. The girls swim team is the GMC champion for the 3rd year in a row. Theater season is here. The Churchill Drama Club presents Death Jam Comedy Festival, 2 comedies that will slay you. Murder at the Grand Hotel by Lynn Elson and Variations on the Death of Trotsky by David Ives. Show dates are Wednesday, February 24th at 3 p.m., Thursday, February 25th, and Friday, February 26th at 7 p.m. at Churchill Junior High School. Tickets can be purchased at the door. Ticket prices are $10 for adults and $8 for students and staff. The Hammersholt drama production of Schoolhouse Rock Jr. will take place at the JM PAC at Hammersholt Middle School on Wednesday, March 2nd and Thursday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. Tickets are $5 and can only be purchased at the box office on the nights of the show. The box office opens at 6:15 p.m. All tickets are general seating. The East Brunswick High School spring drama production of Little Women will take place at the Joseph Sweeney Auditorium at East Brunswick High School on Friday, March 4th and Saturday, March 5th at 7 p.m., Sunday, March 6th at 3 p.m., Friday, March 11th and Saturday, March 12th at 7 p.m. Tickets are $14 for adults and $7 for students and seniors. Due to sellout performances for last year's production, reserved seating tickets are now on sale at ebhs.booktix.com. Remaining tickets for each show will be available at the door. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky. Next is the good of the cause, where members of the community are invited to express themselves on school-related matters of concern to protect the privacy of all students and staff. Folks are reminded this is a public meeting and should first address their issues by speaking with the appropriate administrative staff before addressing the board. Is there anybody who wishes to speak to the board? No? Don't all jump at once. All right, well, we have a quiet evening, so seeing none, I will close the public portion, and I will ask if there are any items from our A Board of Education items that need to be separated. Seeing none, may I have a motion for our Board of Education items, A1 through 4? Motion by Dr. Cohen, second by Mrs. Shaw. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And one abstention, Mrs. Howard. Motion carries. May I have a motion for our education items? Motion by Mrs. Shaw.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Becker. Is there any discussion?
I did have one
Mrs.
question.
Shaw.
I believe it was the same one, it's got the exclusions on it. And there were preschoolers excluded for not having a flu shot. Does that only apply to preschoolers?
No, we would normally, any of the necessary flu shots that students need, we would normally ask that any of them have that. We do give them a certain amount of time in which to make sure that they get those shots.
So even every student in the district is,
Unless their parent comes in with the proper documentation, we usually ask that students do have all the required shots, including, flu shots.
so does that mean that someone's checking on our older students as well to see whether or not they
Our
have it?
nurses have records on everything, and they usually do keep pretty good records on all of the students and where they're at.
Okay. I don't think I was.
Especially for elementary students, it's very important based on the fact that their socialization and how they are in close proximity all day together with the same students. So it's important that we try to, to keep all those records as up to date as possible.
Can I just ask a clarifying point?
Yeah, Mrs.
When you
Lax.
say the proper documentation, you mean the proper documentation that they received the shots, not that they're exempt?
No, well, if students are exempt for some reason, for whatever it may be, and I can't think of something off the top of my head.
Are there reasons they'd be exempt from
There may be,
shots?
for instance, there could be what we used to call the time test, for instance. If a student at one point had a positive tuberculosis test, for instance, they wouldn't be tested. If there's any kind of documentation why a student, it could be even some religious reasons why certain students may not do certain, whether it be vaccines or whatnot. All that documentation has to be in and verified before we move forward.
Flu shots are mandated?
Well, it's normally what their doctors would say is that they should have them. They're not necessarily mandated, but all that information does come into us if they do take flu shots, because sometimes students will have reactions to them, so they usually let us know at the school
Yeah,
level.
but is it's required here? Do we require it as a matter of our policy, or is it mandated?
Yeah, I believe that is part of the
Flu shot-
legislation. I'm going to double check on
Flu
that for
shots
you.
surprise me.
I think they have, in the last few years, have required it.
Well, my grandson goes to
Yeah.
daycare, and it's a requirement
In
there
our
that you
series.
have to
Yeah.
have a flu shot.
Series of vaccinations required.
Because I know that some in pediatricians' offices will send a letter out saying, we ran out, or if you don't get them by a certain time, we have none left.
Right, and sometimes they'll even say, go to the local, whether it be the
Yeah.
CVS or
Right.
the pharmacy, whoever does that.
Right.
But that is part of what we normally
Oh, all
have
right.
as required.
Interesting.
I don't think we don't require flu shots at elementary and high school.
We
It's
don't.
just the little guys.
It's
Right.
just the little
Yeah.
kids, I
But
think.
the
Yeah.
the other kids, anything
thought.
that they do have in, we usually do ask that they do bring us documentation, because sometimes students will have reactions to, whether it be the flu shots especially, sometimes there's rashes and whatnot.
Right.
So we do ask for that documentation if they get it, as long as they go through their cycle.
Everybody else set? Okay. No other discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Becker?
Yes.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Howard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes. Forgot who I was.
Mr. Philipchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes, motion carries. May I have a motion for our only operation item, C1?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Mrs. Becker, second by Mrs. Shaw. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion for our financial items, D1 through D8?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Becker, second by Mrs. Shaw. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Chu?
It's more a comment, maybe, I think, and I don't have it up in front of me, that food service actually went positive for the month. And so I think that's a really good sign. If I recall from the review, and I don't have the report up in front of me, let me try to get to it. I know that was a subject of a lot of discussion.
I have the report
Child
right here,
nutrition,
Mrs.
if I,
Chu, so-
is net income positive for the month of December 2015, so
Yes.
just wanted to note that.
The one thing, if I may, that I would comment about that is that on a monthly basis, I would caution not to just look at the month,
'Cause it-
because it really depends on the number of serving days that exist during that month. The better measure would be the year-to-date column, which is the center column on that report.
Well, it took a big chunk out of the year-to-date as well, so. Right direction.
Any other discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Becker?
Yes.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Howard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mr. Philipchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw? Mr.
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes, motion carries. Any items from our personnel agenda that need separating? Okay, may I have a motion for our personnel items?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Becker, second by Dr. Cohen. Is there any discussion? Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Becker?
Yes.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes, not doctor, though.
I almost switched you both. Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Howard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mr. Philipchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes, motion carries. We have no old business. Any committee or organization reports? Mrs. Shaw?
On the 16th, the District Evaluation Advisory Committee met. Nicole Tibbetts ran the meeting, and we were discussing current professional development. Its emphasis currently has been to improve content knowledge in each of the areas. They've developed a program online. The teachers meet, they work online alone at their leisure, and then they meet again in culmination. We also discussed the hybrid classes for kids that are along the same lines. There's been the development of a leadership cohort. We were told that approximately 40 teachers have supervisor certificates, and this group will meet and they will explore what it means to be an instructional leader within their schools. They will also be conducting website training, although it is not required of individual teachers yet. We are certainly encouraging our staff to, make as much use of technology and communication with families as much as possible. During the past year, there have been 715 participants in 37 different after-school professional development courses, so that speaks well about our district. We also reviewed video protocols for evaluation of teachers. So far, 65 teachers have done this. This is one that we had voted on or discussed some time ago, where the teachers are not required to show the video of their classroom to their colleagues. However, that's the idea, is to try to get some ideas from those that you work with to help improve and develop strategies for teaching and learning. It was also brought to our attention that the Teachscape evaluation software program has been bought by a new company, so we will be taking a look at transitioning to a new evaluation program. We were encouraged that Frontline has been a company that has been around for quite some time. They own ASOP and Applitrack, so apparently with their software you can get hired and improve your professional development all at the same time.
And call out sick.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And then We also discussed the pros and cons of actually going paperless when it comes to teacher evaluations. We did place an emphasis that pre- and post-conference meetings would actually take place face-to-face. And that's pretty much it. But anyway, it was a lively discussion, lots of good ideas, and I think we're really reducing the whole stress level among our staff in terms of the new evaluation system.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Any other committee or organization reports? Go to the cause. Mr. Flipsack.
I actually attended, Dr. Valesky mentioned the all-district concert. I was there, and it was wonderful to see. You mentioned 600 students, but what really was impressive was that the wide range of ages of all the students, the fourth graders, all the way up to the high schoolers, and you saw the progression of voices going from, as they got older. My personal favorite was, they were all fantastic, but Bella Voce is unbelievable. The voices that resonate from the women is chilling. It was really beautiful. I also had a chance to attend the basketball team. Last Saturday, the boys played Hopewell. The boys' basketball team played, and I mentioned to Dr. Valesky before that the project of the new gym looked fantastic, but he realized he couldn't take all credit for it. He mentioned that Bernie's was the point for that job, and it was fantastic. Bernie did a wonderful job.
Especially with that electric. Anyone
Thank you.
else? Dr. Cohen.
I know it was buried in the agenda today, but I just thought it was worth pointing out that we now have an affiliation with the University of Scranton. And as a physician that works in hospitals that are often affiliated with medical schools, there's hospitals and systems that look for hospitals to join often do that because they recognize that the staff is providing high-quality services enough that they could use them for education and to educate future residents and physicians. And I think that in the field of education, this is sort of a sign of the same type of thing, that a university is recognizing a school like ours where they want to form an affiliation so that future educators and graduate students find what we're doing here to be of such high quality that they would seek a relationship for teaching purposes. And I think it's just a sign of our success, and that is worth mentioning. So I just thought that it shouldn't just go buried and unnoticed. It's a nice compliment.
Anyone else? All right, well, we do have a need for closed session, so may I have a motion for the closed session items listed in the posted agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Shaw, second by Mrs. Becker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good night.